Hey guys, well here's a fun project we have going on in the shop. This is just a side project I got going on as if I need something else to do, but while I've been busy working on Suburban, I came up with the idea of wanting my own roof sign. And now, there's definitely places out there that you can go and do this. The guys that do the vinyl graphics and whatnot, they are not in my price range as far as I'm concerned for something that's going to go on a derby vehicle. If the sign gets wrecked or whatever, I would prefer to not have that much money in it, because some of you guys are paying, you know, $150 to up to $250 or whatever for a roof sign. I've got other things to spend my money on. So what I'm going to do here is going to build my own. I'm pretty artistic here, thanks to my dad teaching me some different tricks and whatnot. So you're going to see how just one way to go about doing this. And basically what I've got here is 12-inch by 24-inch steel. I can't remember the exact gauge. We can zoom in here. Got it from Menards, 22 gauge, 12 by 24 steel. Got 2 sheets of that. So this is going to serve as actually the sign portion of, well, my sign. And I've got 2 of those, so one for the left and one for the right side of the vehicle. And I also picked up some of this perforated, or whatever you want to call it, angle here. Again, you can look at the numbers and the stats if you guys want. But basically it's just this plate angle with the holes. And what I'm going to do is basically build similar to an erector set. I'm going to just cut 4 corners out of this to build the uprights to go across, times 2. Going to hinge it in the middle at the top of the A, and then to go across the sides I've got another chunk of this I'm going to run across. And now the plan is to utilize this material to where I can basically just bolt it all together. And what that'll be is it'll give me kind of this triangular frame that'll bolt to the roof, but it's also going to be semi-adjustable. But I'm going to try to make it so it's all bolt together as much as possible, maybe some welding, but I'm not going to make it all welded solid because, one, I don't want it to be accused of ever being structurally supportive to the car, and just 2, it'll make it universal, so depending on what vehicle I have, if there's ribs in the roof or whatever, I can adjust it. And also if the roof and stuff starts to bend in the car, hopefully the sign will kind of just flex with it instead of potentially tearing or breaking the sign or whatever. So that's just kind of my initial thought process. I haven't actually started cutting anything yet and trying to piece it together, so that'll be the next step here. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing cut up into some chunks, throw some bolts in it, and just kind of start piecing it together and see if this idea is actually going to fly. And then also to attach this metal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just 2 bolts at each end and then bolt it to this angle here. Now I might have to buy some more of this material because I'm thinking as I'm thinking this idea out, I'm probably going to need some more support on this sign than what I'm actually going to have, just to keep it, you know, from flexing and whatnot. But maybe a little flex is okay. I just don't want it, you know, flopping in the wind, so to speak. So, and it's also going to be pretty easily removable because I'm not going to drive down the road with this on top of my car. It's going to be strictly for derby only. It's not going to be just strictly when I get to the track, basically, is all I'm saying. So I'll bolt this up to the roof, run the derby, unbolt it, and then throw it in the back of my truck and be on to the next event. So, well, let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you guys what I do, or what I'm going to do here to make a roof sign. Alright, well I got the pieces cut apart here. I got the base plates angle cut, and I think this is about how far apart I'm going to have them. Now I'm going to try to make this semi-universal, but if you look at the top of my Suburban here, I've got these kind of ridges that run along the roof, and so I need to be able to get the plates to fit in between that space. So I'll have to double check some measurements before I go, you know, welding anything in place. And the other thing I found out is, well, you know, honestly, I'm kind of making this up as I go a little bit, only because I'm just using the materials that I had sitting around. So I was going to originally make this thing kind of flexible and versatile, bolt together and whatnot, more like an erector set, but after looking at it, there's just no good way to really mate the base up to these supports here and have it, you know, still hold together. Now I maybe could weld some plates on there, and maybe that's still what I'm going to do, but looking at it from the you know, for my first pass, I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut these things to be more square with angles, and just weld them right to the base here, create this little this triangle shape, and then probably going to have I think what I'm going to do is take that chunk of all thread and just run it across the top here to lock this in solid. And then I got some extra small rebar here that I don't really have a need for at the moment, and I think I'll cut some little chunks and just weld them across here just for some extra support from side to side. So we're going to do that, and then as far as attaching the panels, the plan is to bolt onto this flat. Probably one at the bolt at the top, one at the bottom, and go from there. So let's go ahead and start fabricating the main support. Alright, so this is what I ended up with, guys. I took the angle pieces from the base, and I used some of my rebar here and just made some, you know, cross supports, and just to kind of keep that spacing solid. And then I welded these uprights here, and then also used a chunk of, I used the all thread just because I had it sitting around and I haven't had a need for it, so rather than going out and trying to buy something to use, I just used what I had. So again, just did that, and this is all pretty solid. Again, it's all welded, so it should be pretty rigid, and hopefully it holds together. Just using my little flux core welders. That's why it's not the cleanest welds, but you know, it gets the job done. So there we go. Got the base and main support here all welded up. So now it's just a matter of cleaning this thing up and getting some paint on it, and then we'll go on to the next step. Alright, one step that I forgot to include is this. This is a 5/16 bolt, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it through the hole here, and I'm going to weld it directly to the frame. Now why would I do that? The reason is that I want to make this sign easy to remove and then also put back on. I don't want to go down the road with this sign on. Some people don't mind it, but because of due to the construction, you know, the way that I'm actually going to build this thing, I would prefer to take it off when I'm on the road and then put it on when I get to the event. So I'm going to take these 4 bolts and put one here, one here. You can see where I cleaned off. I'm going to weld the bolt in place, so that way that's firmly attached to the frame. And then what I'm going to do is on the inside of the vehicle, I've got these fender washers, as well as also some wing nuts. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to weld the wing nut onto the fender washer, so that way it's already got the big washer attached. And then all I'm going to do is just have through holes in the roof. I'll stick the sign up on it, then go to the inside, and I'll just use the wing nut to very quickly put the sign into place, and then I'm good to go. And it also will work in reverse. It'll make it a lot easier to take apart. So that's what I'm thinking. So I just got to weld these bolts in, and then this frame will finally be ready for paint. And so here is what we ended up with. It's all painted and welded up and looking good. So we got the bolts welded in here, as well as then I did, as I said, I took the wing nuts and I just very simply and very quickly welded it right here to this fender bolt. And so this way I'll stick this through the roof. So I got the bolts that'll stick right through the roof, and then I'll have this already ready to go. It's already got the washer on it and the wing nut, and we'll just screw that up in place and it'll be nice and tight. It's got a lot of surface area, so hopefully it'll keep from having the metal tear out if that so happens. You know, you never know with these derby cars. So there you go, it's all painted up. So now we're gonna get the panels ready, and I'll have a separate video over in that area. Alright, so I got the metal panels actually out here baking in the sun because I painted them. They're just a 12 by 24 sheet of steel here that I measured and drilled the holes for in the frame that I had already made, and then I painted it white, because if you guys are familiar with their logo, the text is white within a black background. So what you always want to do is you want to do the light color first, then you do the dark. So what I got here is, again, it's all painted white. So what I'm going to do is then I'm going to take tape and I'm going to put tape down, and then I'm going to use a projector and project the image of our logo and basically everything I want on this sign onto the sign panel. I'm going to have to do it twice, and then I'll cut out around the logo so it'll basically leave the sticker right where I want it to be white, and then I'll spray paint this whole thing black and then peel that tape away, and then it'll kind of give it that decal look. So it's kind of a poor man's decal, and again, just a really cheap way of doing a sign. So there's the panels. They're just baking out here in the sun. They're already dry to the touch, but I'm just letting them bake a little more, just because I want to make sure it's good and hard when I put the tape on it. So it's moving along, and now it's time to go put the tape on and get that logo cut out. Alright, so I got the boards here, and what I did was I showed you I painted these things white, and then I took it to work and I put just masking tape. This is about, I think, 2-inch thick masking tape, and then covered the entire surface, starting at one edge and then just layering and making sure to cover up in the middle or at the joints here. And then I put it up against the board, and then using my computer and plugging into a projector, I projected the image that I wanted on the sign and onto the board, and then I used pencil and just traced it out. So then you end up with this, what looks to be just there's my name or whatever, and then I got the All For Him Racing logo. So you end up with just the logo kind of lightly on here, and then you start to cut it out. So I just did the one bottom piece so you can see it. Now you obviously got to know your logo, but ours is white lettering with a black background. So what I did was I did the white first, then I put the tape down, cut it out. I'm going to cut it out, and then so that way I cover up where the letters are, and then I'm going to spray paint the entire thing black, and then peel up the tape to reveal the white letters. So if you look here, I've already done the other side panel, and this is what it looks like. Now, yes, it is long, it does take time and it is tedious, but I'll tell you what, you could pay a lot of money out there for a vinyl graphic, or pay someone to do that, or you can just do it yourself here for the matter of about $1 and about an hour worth of your time total for all of this. At least as far as per panel, I probably have about an hour per panel in here, just from the time to trace it and then now cut it out. So pretty cool stuff. So that's my roof sign that I'm going to make for my derby truck. And so I'm going to do the same thing to this panel. Going to keep cutting it out, and then we're going to spray paint it black and then reveal the letters. There we go, guys. There's the finished product. Got the name and the logo, and it looks pretty good, doesn't it? Considering all I did, you guys saw how I did it. Just used some paint and some masking tape and gave it a professional looking logo. So I did that, put a couple layers of clear coat on it, and there we go. There's the other panel as well. So pretty awesome stuff. That's how we go about making the panels. So now we're just going to bolt them onto the frame here, and we'll have a finished roof sign. Well, there you go. It's all mounted and looking good. So it's on top of the truck here. And, compared to the truck, which is a pretty big vehicle, it looks maybe a little small, but pretty easy to read. And I offset the panels a little higher, so that way it kind of gives it like a false sense of being a little taller. And looks pretty good. I mean, I could go out and buy something, but it would cost quite a bit more. And so, for about $30 and a couple hours of your time, you end up with a pretty sharp looking roof sign. So there you go, guys. And if you guys see me out at a local event or derby and see the sign, now you guys know how I made it. So until the next video, we'll talk to you later, guys.